You're watching Seven Rivers Sports here on KQEG. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, into wellness, and into fitness. And a great feature is to introduce you to some celebrities and some guests throughout the Cooley region, and we hope you'll be inspired by that. Well, I know you will today, because the spotlight shines brightly on the UWL Eagle women's basketball team with head coach Karen Middleton, along with Annie Schumacher and Makenzie Miller. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Thank you.
As we tape the show, Coach, 14-10. Last year, 1-13 in the conference. Now you're 8-5. Now, as we tape the show, you have one game left against UW-Stevens Point on Saturday at 3 o'clock. But you're on the verge of having a successful season, on the verge of going into the playoffs. And some defining moments for you in this first year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing has just been we've really enjoyed it from day one. And the players have bought in, and they've worked incredibly hard just to learn a new system, to keep improving. And we've challenged them to do that, and they've worked as hard as they could to learn, from on the court to video to extra workouts on their own, just a lot of little stuff. And, you know, we've tried to take it step by step, and each game presents a different challenge for us. And, you know, we've been able to really come together, first as a team, trusting each other, getting comfortable with each other, but also learning what we needed to do and what it takes to be able to pull some of these games out. And, you know, we've been fortunate to do that, and we're excited for what's ahead.
You know, part of this broadcast today, part of this interview is to share with our viewers what it takes to build a championship culture, and that'll come in the second half of the show, so I want you to stay tuned for that. But in a recent article in the paper, and in case our viewers did not see it, it was a great article because it talked about what you're trying to build. It talked about your poise and control on the sideline. It talked about the differences in your style and in the style of the Eau Claire coach, and she's a good coach too and a friend of mine. But it talked about how you kept your composure, and that some people may have mistaken her for a ticket agent because of all of the questions she had about traveling to officials. And you know, as an official, when somebody's on you all the time, each and every time down the court, the reaction isn't always positive, is it, Coach?
No, and I think I picked my spots a little bit with officials. I don't think we don't play a perfect game, and I know the officials don't call a perfect game, but, you know, I try not to get caught up so much in that as much as what our team is doing. And, you know, with me, what you see is what you get. I'm not a, you know, crazy. I get excited a little bit, don't I? But I can get on them a little bit, but at the same time, you know, it's, you know, I teach. I try to teach the game.
Because good coaches are teachers. Some coaches are not teachers, but good coaches are teachers of the game. Well, Annie Schumacher, a freshman from Janesville, Craig. Now, as I look at your bio, 3 letters in basketball and volleyball, all academic honors and athletic honors, captain, and so on. I mean, you certainly had a great high school career. Talk a bit about that.
I really fell in love with basketball in my junior and senior year. That's when I kind of decided I was going to play in college. And volleyball was a big part too, but basketball, there was just something like with our team. Every basketball team I've had is almost like a family, including the one that I have here. So that's just like the biggest part for me, is I've always got like a second family out of basketball.
But you were a captain too, so you were a leader in high school, and certainly that leadership quality sort of is a catalyst for you to become successful in college too. But so you had leadership abilities, but you had a great gift in basketball. When you think back to people that maybe inspired you when you were younger, talk a little bit about those experiences.
I'd say my mom and my dad were my biggest supporters, and they were my role models because there was no better support system. They really always had my back, always gave me tips on what to do and everything. And I'd say all of my coaches. I've never had a bad coach. Every coach has made me who I am as a basketball player today.
So you had some great experiences, as well as I'm sure Makenzie Miller, a senior. With senior becomes kind of higher expectations. And I read your bio, and you had a great you were all conference as a junior, as sophomore and junior, and you had lots of success before your senior season. Reflect on that.
I've always had the coaches and like my teammates have always pushed me to be like who I am and to always not only get myself better, but I try and get myself better for them as well. So just doing what I can to help the team has like helped me become a stronger player in itself.
Well, from Chatfield, Minnesota, and I read a little bit about you, and for our viewers to know that you were a three-sport athlete, you were a gifted athlete, you received all kinds of honors, and you probably had your choice of where you could go to school.
Yeah, I decided. My parents would probably be mad that it took me a long time, even through my senior year, to decide where I was going to go. It came down my last two. I was looking like out of state. I'm from Minnesota, but I looked at a lot of Wisconsin schools. But I was like North Dakota. My parents probably didn't want me to go that far, but it came down to here in River Falls were my last two options, and I'm extremely happy with the one that I chose.
I bet you are. But let's go back to a defining moment when you were younger that sort of perhaps convinced you that you could be a college athlete. Was there one?
I don't know if there was just one, but one of my role models is my sister, and we have a really athletic family. My mom and my dad have always been involved in sports, so I started sports when I was really young. My sister's 4 years older than I am, and she went and played college basketball at UW-Eau Claire. So I kind of always lived in her shadow, and I am a competitive person, so I always tried to up her a little bit. But we would play AAU together. She's 4 years older than me, and we would our teams would scrimmage, and we would just go after each other. So I think that seeing that my sister could be a college athlete inspired me that I wanted to be one too.
You're a competitive person, you said. Most competitive people have high expectations for themselves and are hard on themselves, never really being satisfied. Does that describe you?
Yeah, I think it describes me really well. I think that even if I have a bad shot in a practice or something, I take it to heart and I try and learn from each and every possession because I know that I could be better and I can help my team in other ways.
And Annie, we have 5 children, by the way, and they were all gifted athletes and they were all hard on themselves, especially our youngest, who's now an elite marathoner. And she's really hard on herself, and most athletes are. Annie, were you hard on yourself when you were young?
Yeah, I was always very competitive too. I grew up with 2 brothers, so everything was like a competition, and especially with sports, they played sports, and they're quite older than me, so I was dragged along to every single sporting event. So I started sports pretty early, and that taught me competitiveness really quick.
In case you missed the show earlier in October when we introduced the community to Karen Middleton, and of course that's on YouTube, and this will also be on YouTube shortly. Let's go back to your journey and briefly talk about how you got to UWL, Coach.
Oh, long journey.
Well, it's an impressive resume, by the way. And as I said when you were on before, I can understand why you were chosen as a head coach, because not only impressive as a player, but as a coach.
I played at South Carolina, played under Nancy Wilson there, had 4 great years, and as we spoke about earlier, that's what's really inspired me as a coach, because I want that for these young women, just to have a great experience. I was a graduate assistant once I finished my undergrad, got my master's, volunteered as an assistant with the team at the time. From there, went to Eastern Washington for 3 years as an assistant, got my feet really wet as an assistant coach, and then made a quick, big jump to Stanford. I was there for 10 years. My dad was going through some sickness, and I knew I needed to get closer home. Went to Illinois for 2 years as a top assistant there, and then Western Carolina for 6 years there as the head coach, and then was at Cal State Fullerton last year before here.
All of us have had people that have impacted our lives in many ways. I can think back to my own athletic experiences, people that impacted me. Who really impacted you as a player and as a coach, and how was that?
Well, I think just as Makenzie and Annie both said, it's their parents, and I grew up in a very athletic family. I've got an older brother, 2 younger sisters. My older brother, 5 years older, he was the one that really pushed me and got me excited about basketball, and then I was hooked and it was over. But, you know, Annie talked about great coaches. My high school coach really pushed us. Miss Roberts, she was awesome. Then my college coach, Nancy Wilson, love her to death, and we still are in touch to this day. And then obviously my biggest mentor has been Tara Vanderveer at Stanford, and what she's done and how she's done it, but just the relationship that she has with her players, and great with X's and O's, but just all the little things that she's done in building Stanford to where they are has really you know, molded me into who I am as a coach and helped me also learn from others. But she really is the basis for, you know, what I enjoy about coaching and what I'm trying to build.
Well, in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about how to develop building blocks for a championship culture. So when we step away, we'll come back and talk about that UWL women's basketball right after this.
LASIK surgery at Mayo Clinic Health System.
Well, I was very nearsighted. I couldn't see 3 feet in front of me without things being blurry, so I had to wear glasses.
We screen patients. We try to make sure that they're appropriate candidates for LASIK, that their prescription is within the range, that it's reasonable to do it, that they have a good understanding of what they can expect, that they have a good understanding of what the benefits are and what the risks are.
For more information on LASIK surgery, contact Mayo Clinic Health System.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Well, today, guest Karen Middleton, Annie Schumacher, Makenzie Miller, UWL Eagle women's basketball. Let's put our academic hats on for a little bit and talk about you, Annie, and your academics, your classes, your schedule, your challenges, your major, and your career.
So far, I haven't declared a major yet, but I am thinking about doing biochem. I've always been interested in orthodontics, so maybe that's a possibility, but we'll see. And my class schedule this year has been new, a little difficult, but I have 7:45s every day this semester, so that's new. Last semester it was 8:50, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then no class Tuesday, Thursday. So I'm not used to that, but it's been nice, I'd say.
So 7:45 a.m., which means early to bed for Annie Schumacher.
Which is very hard. I'm not a person that likes to go to bed early, so.
So you said you're undeclared, and like many freshmen, of course, but a vision for you, though. If where would you like to go, and where would, in terms of a major, and where would 5-10 years from now, what are you going to be doing?
I hope to graduate in 4 years, fingers crossed, with a biochem major, and then I want to go to Marquette University for dentistry school. So that would be my overall goal, if it doesn't change.
Well, but with Makenzie Miller, the senior leader from Chatfield, you probably have a little bit more definitive plans for your future.
I do. I'm a physical education major with an adapted PE minor and a coaching concentration. I'm not getting out in 4 years. I'll take a victory lap. I'll be here again next year. I'll student teach in the spring next year. And then when I graduate, I would love to move to Alaska and get a teaching job out there.
Really? Alaska? Yeah. You know, I've wanted to go to several places, and now we travel in retirement, but I've never really looked at wanting to relocate to Alaska. Why is that?
I went there this summer for 8 days, and I fell in love with it. And I went there with my friend, and we just hiked for a few days, and it was amazing.
So you may want to go into coaching.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is great, because I'm sure you have the experience and the knowledge and so on. But explain to me what you look for in a coach. The ideal coach that you would like to be someday.
somebody that can build really great relationships with their players, because each player is an individual and they learn differently, they react to different things. So being able to build those close relationships so that I can get through to each athlete. I want to be approachable so that they feel like they can come to me with anything. And I don't know, I want to have a lot of knowledge about the game and be prepared and give my athletes all the tools that they need to be able to go forward and compete as well as they want to be.
Annie Schumacher, describe an ideal coach.
I would say, like Makenzie said, I'd say approachable, because that is really helpful, especially being a college athlete with all this new things as a freshman that I want to talk about with my coach, just because it's definitely different coming here without my parents or my family. And then also like a teacher, that's one thing that can actually teach me the game, because there's so many things that I've learned this year that I never would have even thought of before. So that's probably the biggest thing.
Well, let's talk about how Coach Middleton is trying to build a championship culture. Now, a championship culture results in peak performance, and it results in the byproduct being a great season in terms of wins and losses. Number one, these are the things I think build a championship culture. Number one, trust. How would you react to that?
It's true. I think it's the basis of everything. You know, it's one of the things we talk about. It's being a great teammate to each other, and that takes a ton of trust. But it also is accountability, because you got to make sure you're doing the right things for each other. We also talk about playing hard for each other, and I think a big part of that is just trusting each other and having each other's back in regards to doing that.
Another thing in terms of building success, building block, is a burning desire to really achieve greatness. And Tom Crean says not being bought into the program, but being locked in. There's a huge difference between the two. How do you demonstrate that? Annie?
I believe we are locked in as a program now. I don't want to say bought in, but we have the idea that we actually are good enough to be a championship team, and so we have locked into that idea.
Courage and compassion, Makenzie. How would you describe that as an important ingredient for championship culture?
I think they're both really important. Courage, not only to push each other, but to make mistakes, because you're not going to learn from anything if you don't make those mistakes. So the courage to push yourselves and push others, but then the compassion, like if you do make those mistakes, the ability to say, hey, maybe try this next time, just being there for one another, I think are really important.
Coach, another ingredient I think, and I know you model this too, and that's service. Service meaning sacrifice and suffering both. How do you try to share that with your team?
Well, I think some of the challenges of being a part of a team is the sacrifice part of it. It's accepting a role when maybe that's not the role that you want right now, but maybe you can work to gain a different role. And the sacrifice of giving to each other, of giving your best effort every single day, even if you've got other things going on. And, you know, for us as a staff, it's not about us as coaches, it's about them. It's about them and their experience and what they're getting from it, and doing everything we can to serve them and help them be their best, not just as basketball players, but obviously as students and as people, and to help them grow individually. So there's obviously a ton that goes into it.
Humility. Humility is sometimes an ambiguous word, but humility meaning giving others credit too. And just knowing you a little bit, Annie, I suspect that was part of what your characteristic was when you were in high school. But that's a big part of building a championship culture, humility. Is that you?
No, I'd say we are really good with, as in like humility, like giving someone credit. We're really good with sharing, which kind of goes along. We're not very selfish. So like giving someone like the props, like, oh, good pass, good shot, we're really helpful with that. Like I know Mac always, whenever she gets any assist, she always lets that person know, like, good job. So that really helps build like a strong team, a strong bond.
I've seen many locker rooms, and it all begins in the locker room. I've seen many teams that there's a toxic part of the team, and it basically is because of selfishness and maybe because of not good leadership from seniors like you, Mac. Seniors that maybe don't understand that their job is to lift others up. How do you do that?
I think one of the biggest things for me is leading by doing, so I try and push myself so that others know to follow along. I have a loud voice because I'm a teacher, and again, I get that from my dad. But so I don't always try and use that. But like if something needs to be said, then I'll say it. But I just try and push myself so others can follow along with me.
You know, as it says in the Bible, where there is no vision, people perish. The vision of what you want to accomplish at UWL would be what, Coach?
Number one, for these young ladies to have a great experience. And to me and to us as a staff, what a great experience is to have success in the classroom, to enjoy every day, but also put ourselves in a position to compete for championships. And it takes care of itself if we do a lot of the little things.
So relationships and results, the two go hand in hand, right?
Definitely. I don't think you can have one without the other.
Makenzie, as a senior, before long you're on your way to another chapter in your life. Look back 5, 6, 8, 10 years from now, and people bring up Makenzie Miller when they talk about UWL basketball. Okay? What do you want them to say?
I just want them to know that I've tried my hardest throughout these years, and I wouldn't be able to do anything that I have accomplished without my teammates and without the coaches that have pushed me. They've made me who I am, and I just want everybody to know that I've tried as hard as I can.
Something tells me that you have. Something tells me that you're living up to what you just said about yourself.
Trying.
Well, Annie, in the last couple minutes that we have, Annie, a freshman, just sticking your toes in the water, basically. Let's talk about your vision for the next 3 years.
My vision, I hope the next couple of years go a lot like how this year went. We've always been a really positive team. We've loved going to practice. It's always just been like fun. It's never been like a job or difficult for us. We've just loved being around each other, and also building a championship team where we can get to a higher level, and obviously into the NCAA tournament. That would be a goal for, I think, all of us.
You know, we talked about a culture starting in the locker room, which I really believe it does, but you said something really profound when you said you love going to practice. I would really be confident saying that that's not the case with a lot of teams. And as we end this interview, Coach, is that one of your goals, is to make practice enjoyable?
I want every day to be enjoyable. You know, not to get too deep, but life is too short. You can control every day, and we want to make it a positive environment. You know, our locker room positive, our practice is positive, learning as we go, and create those challenges that's going to prepare us for games, to put ourselves in the position that we want to win these championships, to compete in the NCAA tournament. But you got to enjoy the journey, and I think that's what we've taken advantage of this year is, one, enjoying each other, building those relationships, but just having fun every day and pushing ourselves to get better, but just having a blast, and everything is taking care of itself as we've done those little things along the way.
So you really crystallized, I think, your view of life and your view of teaching and coaching and enjoying every day. And I hope that our viewers enjoyed this as one of our better interviews. So I hope that you enjoyed watching just like you enjoy coaching and playing. So I want to thank you for being our guest today. But I also want to hope for the best in your playoffs, because we'll be watching as you get into the conference playoffs. So thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
We'll be back with some basketball film clips right after this.
LASIK surgery at Mayo Clinic Health System.
I can see. I don't have to wear my glasses for driving, to go to the movies, for reading.
And I think it's a wonderful thing to offer people that freedom and independence of lenses, whether they're contact lenses or glasses, to be able to function every day from the morning to the evening and not think about it.
For more information on LASIK surgery, contact Mayo Clinic Health System.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Well, Rick and I were courtside at La Crosse Central on Tuesday night for the first round of the WIA postseason. A familiar foe, the Lady Sparta Spartans versus the Central Red Raiders. Both teams looking to rewrite the last chapter of their season. Well, both teams struggled with their offense in the first half. However, Sparta jumped to a slight early lead before Central went on a 19-3 run and held on to a 27-17 lead into halftime. The second half belonged to the Red Raiders, led by a solid defense from senior Morgan Holter and strong rebound from center Abby Athnos. Senior Ashley LaRue attacked the basket throughout the game and had a game-high 18 points. Sophie Leinfelder chipped in 11. Sparta ends their season with a record of 7-16 and were led by four-year starter Allie Laufenberg with 10 points. Central moves on to play top-seeded Onalaska on Friday. Final score, Central 52 and Sparta 38. Well, next week we're going to shift gears and look at spring golf with some guests from Viterbo University. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, thanking you for joining us here on Seven Rivers Sports, hoping that you will have an active and a healthy week ahead. So long from all of us here